Deftones, Passenger, Black Stallion, Mike Shinoda remix. Okay, so this will be arranged in a drop D tuning. Could probably even go to a C, but I'm just keep it in a D, try to make it as simple as possible here. But yeah, so just take the low E, drop it down to a D, then we got the DAD, GBE, and this initial intro section, it's all going to be basically some keyboard interpretation, like sequencer interpretation stuff going on here. A lot of kind of layers of different arpeggiated stuff, so a little tricky, but when you're trying to mimic the preciseness of keyboards, it's kind of the way it goes. And initially, we'll start with this first part of the first keyboard section where drop D tuning, we're going to be all the way up here. We're going to go 14 on the low D, we'll hit a 16 on the middle D, come back to a couple 14s low D, couple 16s on the G, and then we go 14, 16, 17 on the middle D. So just slowly it'd be. Right, and now we kind of shift the position. We'll hit the 12 on the low D here, come up, hit a 14 high E, back to the 12 low D. And then we do this bit of a stretch here where we go down to the 9 low D. We want the 10 high E, hammer that onto 14. Okay, and then back to the 9 low D. Then we do the 10 high E to 15. Right, and then back to the 9 low D. And then finish on a couple 12s of the high E. Okay, and if that's too much of a pain getting the bass with the high notes, I suppose you could just kind of do them separately, or choose one of the either, like do the bass notes or do the high notes separately, and maybe one day combine them together if you like it. All right, the second part of the first keyboard comes up here at the 14 low D, and then it'll pick this 16G, 15B. Okay, back to the 14 low D, and then we go 17 middle D, 16G. Shift down to the 12 on the low D, We'll hit the 14 middle D and a 15 B. Okay, and now we move to this bass note here, the 9 on the A. We hit that, then we'll hit the 9G, then the 12B, back to the 9A, a couple 12s on the low D, a couple 14s. Okay, second keyboard comes in for the intro, and it's just doing some basic stuff over here in the 9 and 7 area of the middle D. We start with the 9 to 7, then we go 7, 9, G. Okay, 7, 9, D, 7, 9, G. Okay, then we do this a little bit quicker of a 7 to 8 B, back to 7. Alright, and then we hit the 7G, 9D. Essentially repeat the whole thing up again, up until after that 7-8-7 on the B. And then we finish it the second time through by going 10 to 8 on the B. Alright, the verse gets going, and we just kind of get some bass notes over the top of everything. And we're drop D again, so we want this E bass note, and we're just doing 2nd fret, 2 strums, quiet. Alright, do that 3 times, and after the 3rd time we do a little quick octave where we hit the 2 middle D back to the 2s on the low D. Okay, do those first 3 of the 2s, and then after the 2nd time through we finish it by doing a quick 2 open A to the 2s. Alright, and then after we go through that a couple times, now we get to this preview of the chorus where we do a couple 2s, couple opens, then we need a C note, so we could have dropped it to C, but like I said, I'm just keeping it drop D to be simple. And then we go a couple 3s on the A, couple 5s on the low D to an open. Later on in the verse, we get some nice arpeggiation through it. Initially picking through like this E minor shape where we go open G, 2D, 2A, pick through that a couple times, upward like that, and then just to the G to D. Okay, next spot, we do this 4 open D, middle D, to open A, do that a couple times, and then end with the 4 to open. Alright, now we do 2 middle D, 3A, 5 on the low D. Just kind of pick the same way, and then we finish it by doing an open G, 2D, 3A, 2D, and then we do the 4 open D, open A, open D. And after we cruise through that a handful of times, we do this big build up at the end by just staying on that E minor shape, the open G, 2D, 2A, and just picking through that, and you want to do that about 4 times.